So if you've seen the short about me calling out 5e for failing its weapons, let me explain. I've had a couple people respond and say that you could use feats in 5e to kind of gain the same thing, mixing with some subclass. Well, I say that's pathetic. Why should I have to use things from my class? Why should I sacrifice my choices for my class, my subclass, features, to make the weapons function how they should have been designed to begin with? That's a terrible argument, my dude. And if you happen to see this, no disrespect, but stop defending crap designs that weren't innovative to begin with. See, in 5e, you have a weapon. Whatever weapon it is, it's got a singular die. And you add your modifier. Beyond that, you're like, okay, well, what's the big deal? Well, as with my bastard sword, it says I can only stab you, but why can't I slice you? And why can't I hit you with the pommel? Isn't that slicing, piercing, and bashing damage all in the same weapon? Why couldn't they design it to utilize that? Why doesn't the bastard sword have features like can use it as a crowbar? I can use it to cut. Why can't a small European dagger be used as a lockpick? We added that as a feature to our weapons called tools as well. So when you actually are training, and in our system, we have a whole training system that replaces the proficiency system. So as you go up in level, it gets more options. First, you got tools as well. You have half sorting that can be accomplished with these. You'll be able to grapple with the weapon, and ultimately it gets to have extra and less resistance of the concussive damage transfer against steel plate and other type of metal armors that have this type of resistance. So when I say that 5e failed weapons, what I mean is you have to take an artifact to have as much features and abilities given into the weapon as we do. Like if you take trident or a bident, and you think about someone stabbing it in and twisting it. Well, that should be there, right? It's something simple. But you would think 1 attack, 2 attack, right? Well, when you improve in our system and you have extra attacks, part of the features of that weapon specifically is going to be if you have an extra attack you can spend, you can sacrifice it to literally stab in and do the twist out, which will not only turn it from piercing damage, but now into rending damage. But again, it immediately will cause you to do a bleed roll. If you're wondering what a bleed roll is, when you are bleeding, you will have a set of dice based off of the amount of wounds and level of wounds you have that you will roll at the beginning of your turn. In this case, it'll make you roll it right then and there and still at the beginning of your next turn. So for a few more examples of weapons that really we decide to take a whole new twist to, let's look at a flail. It doesn't really matter what kind, as long as it's got a long enough chain on the stick and something heavy on the other side, it's going to go around the shield. So in our system, even if you have your shield up and ready, this is going to just go right over it. It doesn't matter it's there. It does not count in the damage equation or in your actually to hit. Because in our system, we don't just have armor class. We have armor rating and dodge rating. Because we actually understand physics and realize that the heavier your armor is, the easier you are to hit because it's harder for you to maneuver. So dodge rating and armor rating hold two completely different sets. I'll go into those in a later video, but right now we're focusing on how we didn't fail weapons. And one of the better examples is a whip. A whip, actually, in reality, if you're not at an ideal striking distance, it's just going to either not hit them or it's going to collide into them and fall down. You have to be at the ideal strike range. If you are below that strike range and below the not going to hit them, and at the right moment, it can grapple them. So with these specific distances and the whip, you will be able to actually accomplish different utility out of it. So when we took into consideration weapons, we didn't just switch around all that. We even looked at the idea of how to rearrange the dice. We are using odd number dice, so you will actually be able to have damage represented by a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and potentially a 6. We're play testing that one out to see which way it sticks. But weapons that would actually go above that die damage would actually be a split of 2 or 3 of the smaller die to equivalate for it. But we're working on balance because then they should be harder to hit you with. But if you have any other questions on weapons or a specific type of weapon or culture of weapons that we need to look into, please inform me in the comments down below. And if you don't have access to our playtest document, please reach out to us through either the email, Discord, Gilded, YouTube, Facebook, whatever you can. And I'll make sure to get that to y'all as soon as possible. Because, we didn't fail weapons.